So one of the lines is for health insurance. And for a family, it's expensive. I think I pay about $500 a month for the health insurance for the family. That's $6,000 a year. Is it really worth it, Chuck? It doesn't take much for it to really come across as useful. This is a real bill. Okay? This is one that came August 28th. Over the summer, I had some surgery. It was outpatient. They're still trying to fix and patch and repair stuff from some earlier surgery for cancer. They got it all gone. It's okay. Don't have issues with cancer. But now they're trying to patch and repair parts and fix things. This bill is from a 1-hour surgery. They took me in. Okay, you wait there in the waiting room, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I spent some time sitting there waiting, and they said, okay, come on back. They prep you quick, like, roll you in the surgical room for about an hour, take you to a recovery room, you know, where they got the curtains that they draw around you. You can hear everything that's going on around every place else. There about a half an hour, then they stick you in a wheelchair and roll you out the front door and dump. No, they don't dump you. Okay? Stick you in a car and you're off and going. 2 hours max. This is not the whole bill. Let's look at what this is. Pharmacy stuff. It's like antibiotics to make sure it wasn't going to get an infection during or afterwards. Surgical supplies. Surgical supplies. Now, I'm sure part of that's the rental on equipment that they use, tools they use, Band-Aids they use, this, that. Actually, they use glue and glue you back together now. How much were the medical and surgical supplies billed at? Can you read that? $37,660. The room, the operating room. I slept through it. I didn't really get to enjoy the room. Wasn't in there but about an hour. How much did they bill you for an hour for a room? $16,000. The anesthesia. I'm not going to complain about that. I wanted to sleep through it anyway. Okay? The medicine. This doesn't include the person, does it? How much was the medicine? Yeah, almost $3,000 for the medicine to put you to sleep. Yeah, you remember I mentioned the recovery room, that nice palatial, that little area they roll you into and they just a curtain around you? How much did they charge you for the half hour I was in the recovery room? $4,000. Does this include the surgeon?
No.
Does it include the anesthesiologist? No. Does it include anything else or just the room and some glue and that's about it? The medicine to put me to sleep. Okay? How much did this add up to total? $62,000. That's for a 1-hour outpatient surgery before the surgeon, before anything else. This includes no people. This is just rooms and some medicine. $62,000. Don't stand there and tell me that medical insurance isn't worth $200 a month. Now, are there going to be years where you don't use it? Absolutely. It's like car insurance. Do you really want to go driving around without it? Because if you go giant thump into somebody's BMW i8, Maserati, Ferrari. Okay, let's cheapen it up some. Somebody's Lexus. And they go to the hospital. Guess who's paying their hospital bill? You. Oh, wait a minute. Does this include the car? Or the ambulance? Or the doctors? Oh. really expecting on this next round to see health insurance at between $150 and $200 a month, and that is cheap. Okay. One of the things I will. Yes, ma'am.
So we can't be covered under our parents?
No, you are on your own. Because are you going to be covered under your parents the rest of your life? No.
You have the same contract?
That's right. At 26, you're done. But what I want you to realize is what life is going to look like as an adult. Okay? You're not going to live in mommy and daddy's basement till you're 83 years old. You can't, because they're going to probably die before you, and somebody else is going to take that house and throw you out. Okay? So it's not going to work. Okay? You have got to take care of yourself. You're going to be a real, live, genuine adult producing in society. Okay? So, you've got to pay your own bills. You got to pay your own way. I just thought it was kind of interesting. I had just gotten that bill recently. I thought, well, by golly, some of these people who are off in the health insurance, let's show them what it really looks like. There's what it looks like. Everybody good with that? Okay. When we had left off the other day, we were in section 3B. We had finished 3A, gotten through a variety of things, part of it being things like there we go. Part of it being things like converting numbers. How do you change from one unit to another? That's going to be handy for figuring out how much rain there is in 260 acres, isn't it? To figure out the total amount of gallons of rainfall on the golf course. Finish that up. We went into 3B, kind of got started there, and one of the things that we started talking about, okay, on putting numbers in perspective, is what is called scientific notation. The idea of scientific notation is to take numbers that are really big or really little and make them easier to manage. My daughter is in chemistry right now, and they were talking about, she and my son were talking about protons and neutrons and electrons and all that kind of stuff, and how much a proton weighs. How much mass does a proton have? What's a proton anyway? It's a little tiny thing in the center, isn't it, of the atom? Okay? And the mass of one of those is on the order of 10 to the negative 19th grams. Which means you slide the decimal how many places? 19 places, and are we going to make the number bigger or littler? Littler. So this is a really small number. It's going to have 18 zeros in front of it, isn't it? How would you like to have to enter that into your calculator? Point, and then 18 zeros, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And it goes on, and then you put the number in. The idea of scientific notation is to save you having to do that. And if you miscount the number of zeros, your number's 10 times bigger or smaller than it should be. Being off by a factor of 10 is a problem. Okay. Oh, how far is it to Dayton? Oh, it's not far. It's 500 miles. That's off by a factor of 10, isn't it? Dayton is what? About 50 miles, isn't it? There's a big difference between a 50-mile drive and a 500-mile drive. Okay? Or make it even more interesting, between a 500-mile drive and a 5,000-mile drive. 500 miles, that's not too bad, is it? How many of you would sign up for a 5,000-mile drive today? Well, dude, you can't even drive 5,000 miles in a day. Okay? So, it's very, very important that you are accurate as far as the power of 10 that you need to be to. Scientific notation allows that kind of thing to happen. Okay, or it makes it easier to be accurate. We talked about ice cream. How much ice cream money is spent in the U.S. a year? Did that surprise you? Was that number perfect or just kind of a guess? Just kind of a guess. Okay, but it gave us some idea of about what was going on. I am intentionally skipping a couple of these. because I don't want to keep going over and over the same thing with just different examples. Okay, you get your really nice job after you graduate. Oh, here's something that a lot of you are not even putting into your budget, vacation money. Do you plan on never going on vacation in your life? You're just going to work your life. Yeah, well, you don't get vacation till a year of work. You will work a year before you have an opportunity for a vacation at the earliest. Whoa. Okay. And you need to have some money saved up for that vacation, so you need to start saving ahead of time. A vacation is much easier if you've got a chunk of money to take with you. You can just have fun because the money's here. I'm spending it, but when I get home, how much debt do I have? Nothing. It's all paid for. You're done. You had a great time. You did what you wanted to do, and now it's all behind you. You're not still paying for it. You start saving for the next one. You stay ahead of the game. Okay? So you need to really start making sure that you've got the correct numbers for health insurance, and you really do have something saved for vacation. Going to mom and dad's and staying for a week is not vacation. Okay? But you got the money saved up. You go to, I don't know, this is someplace looks like along the ocean. Is Charleston along the ocean, I'm thinking? Please? Near it? Okay. So let's say this is Charleston. It didn't get blasted by the hurricane, so it's still there. Or Boston. How's that? I know Boston's on the ocean. That's a cool city to get to someday. Okay? So you're in Boston. And your hotel is right here at State Street. And the concierge, oh my gosh, what's a concierge? In nice hotels, you walk in, the check-in desk is here. Off to one side or the other is a separate desk, and there's a person who works there. They do things like call in cabs. If you don't want to just get Uber, they will do things like, where should I go eat anyway? And they will call and make reservations. They'll tell you places that are nice to eat. They'll provide you information about the city. Okay? So the concierge tells you, oh yeah, there's a really good restaurant, and it's right over here. And they pull out one of the maps of the downtown area. And they say the hotel's right there. The restaurant's there. And you say, awesome, this sounds like just what I'm looking for. And you thank them. You should tip them. $1 or $2. Okay. And you start looking at the map as you're walking out. What I'm usually thinking then is this walkable? Is this a walkable distance? And I always ask the concierge, between here to there, if I was to walk, is it a safe neighborhood? Is that important information? Yes, it is. Okay, you don't want to have a hospital visit between there and a restaurant. Okay? They say it's great. You'll love the neighborhoods. It's a nice area. Enjoy it. Can you walk that? Is that a walkable distance from the hotel to the restaurant? You're saying yeah. Okay, about how long? Time-wise, about how long is it going to take you to get to the restaurant if you walk? And I know it depends on how fast you walk, but I mean just kind of a normal walk and looking around and stuff like that. That's right. How far is it? Take a look here at the bottom of the map. Oh, sneaky. I didn't notice that before, Chuck. What is that at the bottom of the map? Yeah, it's a scale, isn't it? It tells you how far. You see this little white box over here? That's about 1 kilometer. It's a little over half a mile. How far is it from where you are on State Street over to that restaurant? About a half mile. Is a half mile walkable? Yeah, that's a piece of cake. How long is it going to take to walk that? Unless you got crutches. 10 minutes. It's maybe a 10-minute walk. Being able to look at scale and decide walk it or Uber it is an important thing. If you're at the hotel and you want to go to, they've got a really cool aquarium in Boston. If you get there, it's worth going to if you like that kind of stuff. The aquarium's over here, right on the ocean. Walk it or Uber it? Yeah, that depends on what kind of a mood you're in and if you're a runner or whatever. So here's about a kilometer. There'd be a kilometer, a kilometer, a kilometer, a kilometer. It's about 5 kilometers. So you're maybe 2.5, 3 miles. That's walkable. Take 45 minutes or an hour each way. And then part of the question becomes, do you really want to spend 2 hours walking there and back? Okay. Does that make sense on why and how scale can work? Okay. Okay, so we've kind of talked about a bunch of that. At this point, I'm kind of content to move on. In 3B, they talk about a variety of different examples. We could do examples from now till the semester's over. Okay, but what I want to move into is chapter 4. If you take a look at the syllabus, we were doing 3A, 3B, then we're doing 4A, B, C, and D. What A, B, C, and D involve are personal finance. Various aspects. I know we've talked about part of it, and you're probably getting sick and tired of hearing some of this stuff. Okay? What I'm hoping is in a couple of weeks you're going to find out, you know what, there's not much to this budget. It's an easy 5 points. Most of life, money is not hard. It's not what I've seen with my parents. Okay? It depends on if you plan. And I'm not saying anything bad about your parents. They probably just never had seen it done. I hadn't. There was constant fighting. How are we going to pay for this? How are we going to pay for that? We don't have any fuel to fire up the furnace. Well, maybe next month. Maybe we'll have a furnace by Thanksgiving. Okay. But if you know how to plan for this stuff, it takes all that craziness out. We're going to take a look at some other stuff too. When you go to buy a house, do you want PMI? I don't know. Can they cure it? Okay. Personally, I try to avoid it. How do you avoid having to pay PMI? Oh, if I got to pay for it, I don't want it. Okay, how do you avoid having to pay PMI? Did you know you don't have to have it? Oh, I didn't know what it was, and I'm glad I don't have to get it, or have it, or whatever it is. Would you rather have an adjustable rate or a fixed rate mortgage? You want to pay points on your mortgage or not? Okay. Well, gosh, I've not heard about some of this stuff, Chuck. It's okay. We're going to go into some of the basics. Is this going to become a banking course? No. Okay. But it'll give you some of the basics. Would you be better off buying into stocks or mutual funds? Mutual funds. What are mutual funds? Well, it's something we mutually agree to. No. Okay. How do you do this stuff on retirement anyway? A lot of it's going to be handled through HR, so you don't have huge latitude, but there'll be some. At least you'll know what they're talking about. So those are the kinds of things we're headed into. So it's going to go beyond just the budget. The budget is a small part of life. It keeps the lights on, and it keeps you saving for retirement. Okay? That's what the budget does. Now, when you get out in the real world and you're running on your own, let's see, I'm shopping. Oh, I know where it is. You and whomever is in that household and has some say and sway in the money as well, that includes kids, because rest assured they want 110% of it, okay, are going to say, well, how do you know how much to spend on cars? Daniel and I were looking at it again the other day. Corvette 2020s, new one's coming out. Nice car. You get it with the trim packages and stuff, and they're still only about $90,000. That's 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds car. Tweaked out. Under 90 grand. Is that in our budget or not? Okay. As far as Daniel's concerned, well, yeah, if I can't have a Lambo, I might as well have a vet. Okay. If you have, well, let's say a $48,000 job. General rule of thumb is the car sitting in the garage in the driveway should not add up to more than how much total value? About half a year's income. Your cars shouldn't add up to more than about $24,000 on a $48,000 income. If you've got $100,000 worth of cars sitting out there in the driveway, it's time to sell because you've got too much in cars. Well, I didn't know that before. That's okay. That's why you're here. This list gives you some ideas of percentage-wise about how much should go into various areas. Now these are all percentages of your take-home pay. So if we're dealing with a $48,000 income, that's $4,000 a month. Take-home pay is $2,800 a month, isn't it? Oh, that hurts. Yeah, where'd all my money go? Deep in the heart of taxes. Okay, and if you don't like the taxes, vote for people who aren't giving away stuff for free, because who pays for all the free stuff? You do. It's not free. Okay? That's right, there's always the catch. Yep. Take-home pay. You got $2,800. What's the most you can afford on housing? About, according to this budget. Let's see, housing costs. About a fourth of that, isn't it? So if you take this, you divide by 4, it's about $700. You buy that? Now, for housing costs, what all does that include? Under that housing cost there, that includes your rent or mortgage. It includes your insurance. If it's a house, okay, it includes things like the homeowners association. What's that? You know, when you go past these neighborhoods, they have the really cool rock entranceways and the gorgeous landscaping. The whole neighborhood is all, whoa, look at this. Typically, they have a homeowners association. It's a club that you must belong to if you buy a house in that neighborhood. And what you do is you pay, depends on the HOA, $150 to $300 or $400 a month. Well, what do they do with that money? They use it on landscaping, groundskeeping, getting the roads plowed, getting the sidewalks salted. They may use it for the swimming pool. Oh yeah, this community's got a swimming pool. Yeah, well that wasn't free either, you're paying for it. Okay? So, PMI would also go in this. So what you need to do is you need to look at everything related to housing, and it shouldn't be more than 25% of what you're bringing home. Miscellaneous, that's a real important category. That's everything you forgot to include someplace else. Like I gotta buy toilet paper? You don't have to, it just makes life a lot nicer. Okay. You know, in some of the categories you may or may not have. For example, for us at this point, our housing is lower than a lot of people. Why? We paid off our mortgage. Our house is paid for. That's it. So now we have money to move into other categories. But what I want to point out to you here is you can find these percentages in a variety of places. Okay? When you get out of college, get your job and stuff, a name that's sometimes helpful to remember as far as budgeting, because you're probably not going to remember me, is Dave Ramsey. The stuff's online. I don't recommend it because I get a kickback. I recommend it because it's reasonable. He's got a radio program. It's amazing how much you can learn by listening to that. And it's entertaining. It's not just talking to an accountant. Well, let's see, on line 57, we're going to deficit spend here. It's not that at all. It's pretty funny, okay, with some of the questions people come in with. Okay, but if you look that site up, you'll get a lot of support and information. They even have a free budget spreadsheet. Free. Right online. That you can use to really keep track of things going forward when you get a job. Okay? But one of the things I want to point out to you under personal finance is those are the recommended percentages. If you go to government sites, if you go to other private sites, they're all about the same. This is not a magic set of numbers that's unique to that. Okay? But if you check that out, I think you'll find that helpful. Okay. Let's take a look at section 4B, or 4A. One of the best places to spend money is on little things that you do repeatedly. Little things that are just day-to-day things that you enjoy. Great place to spend money without realizing how much you're spending. When Becky and I were looking at buying the farm, our house was paid for, and we thought, her question to me was, well, can we really afford this thing? And I said, yeah, it's going to be kind of tight. And her question then was, what do you mean by tight? Because she knows cheap chalk can go amazingly tight and not even notice the pain. And I said, well, we're going to have to cut back on some stuff. She said, stuff, like what? And I said, well, Starbucks is going to go. There was a giant gasp. She almost fell to the ground. And she said, well, I don't spend that much on Starbucks. And I said, you don't. I said, let's think about this. She was going to Starbucks 2 or 3 mornings a week on the way in. I didn't care. I knew she was spending it. Okay? And at that point, the house was paid for, and fine, enjoy it. I don't care. However, she was getting a coffee, not just a plain coffee. She was getting a Lotto Frappo Whoopa Wappa or whatever it is. You can tell how often I get to Starbucks. How much does one of those things cost? $4, $5, $6. Let's call it $5. Okay? So she'd swing in. She'd get a cup of something or other. Or the extra this, like that, and who knows what else. And then they've got this little, wow, look at all those pastries in that case. How much do those pastries cost? $4. All I'm getting, honey, is a cup of coffee and a pastry. That's how much money? $9. I don't do it every day. No, but you're doing it 3 days a week, at least. So how much is that a week? $27 a week. Well, gosh, Chuck, you're making it sound like this is awful. Okay. How much is $27 a week by the time the year's out? Well, let's see, we do 27 times, how many weeks are there in a year? 52. How much is her cup of coffee and pastry costing a year? That's a payment on a house. That is 1 month's payment on the house, isn't it? Did you know that if you're going to Starbucks and doing that, you're spending well over $1,000 a year on that coffee and pastry? Now, what I did, or what we agreed to, because I could see the color draining quickly from her face, was I said, honey, go out and buy the best coffee maker that you genuinely will be served by. Buy a good one. How much is a coffee maker going to cost? $150, $200. So let's say she went out and bought one for $200. How much does coffee cost for a bag? A few bucks. And she decided she didn't really need the pastry. Okay. So this was $200, and maybe $5 a week for, let's call it, fixins to make the coffee, the cream, the coffee. And she was still getting flavored coffees and this, that, and the other thing. Okay? How much does this cost a year? Well, $5 a week is $260. Plus the machine's another $200. About how much did we just save a year? It's about $1,000, isn't it? That's about 1 month's payment on a mortgage. Just by making the coffee at home instead of getting it at Starbucks. She's still got the coffee. In fact, she gets more this way now because she fills up one of those big cups. Okay. So we're $1,000 or right around $1,000 a year saved right there. What are some other little odds and endsy type things like that that people do that can add up? Would you pay $10 a gallon for water? What kind of a fool? Who would pay $10 a gallon for water? Okay. Yeah. When you get the water bottles, okay, and I'm seeing some of the inexpensive ones, that's fine. But if you get one that's got the cool pop nozzle and all that stuff, or you buy it out of a machine, how much do those things cost when you get them out of a machine? $2. How many ounces are in one of them? Usually about 12 ounces. Okay, yeah, it varies. Let's go with the 12 ouncer, $2. How many ounces are in a gallon? I don't know, Chuck. What do I look like, a computer? 128 ounces is 1 gallon. Well, how many of those 12 ounces would it take to make a gallon? It would take about 11 of them. 10 of them would be 120 ounces, wouldn't it? So it's going to take 11 of these bottles. Well, wait a minute. If it takes 11 of those at $2 a piece, how much are you paying a gallon for water? $22 a gallon for water. Really? You can buy gas for $2.70 a gallon. $22 for a gallon of water? That seems a little pricey to me. So I'm trying to, well, we buy it at Aldi's, which is fairly cheap. I'm trying to get them to refill them. Because how much is it out of the tap? Well, you get 1,000 gallons for a couple of bucks. Okay, so there's another place to save some money. What's another place where little things like that just might add up? How much is this class cost? Yes, sir. Okay, Uber, yeah. I've never tried that. I've thought sometime when I get to another city, instead of walking, maybe I'll try it sometime. How much does Uber cost? I've got no idea.
Depends on how many cars in the area or how far you're going.
Yeah, I realize it's how far you're going. Let's say you got to get 4 miles away. You're going to the aquarium. 4 miles over, 4 miles back. Is that about $10? You got to tip. You got to tip each way, people. Okay? Don't be cheap.
It varies almost daily.
Okay.
What's going on each
Okay. So that's kind of a hard one. But yeah, that kind of stuff can add up too. Is it cheaper to own your own car or to run Uber? It depends on where you live. If you live in New York City or Boston, owning a car is almost prohibitive. My sister and husband lived in Manhattan. You know how much they paid a month for parking at their apartment? $2,000 per car. They were spending almost $50,000 a year to park 2 cars at the apartment. That doesn't include what they paid at work, because do you think parking was free when they got to work? They were paying way over $50,000 a year just for parking on cars. That's not even driving it. Suddenly, Uber looks a lot more affordable there, doesn't it? So it depends on the situation. Some of you on your sheets are putting down that you're going to spend, I think 15 and 20 were the lowest I saw. $15 and $20 a month on gasoline. You'll spend that if you just let it sit there and the gas evaporates out of the tank. Okay, you are not driving that car if you're on $15 or $20 a month. That's like 2 gallons a week. Okay, you got to get it up there. Gas is closer to 100 or 150 a month, which is, so you got to start looking at things. In some places, owning a car is not practical.
That's actually what one of them goes and like he likes the blue van though we have better because he can go for the cheaper gas like 85.
Yeah. Yeah. Different cars require different grades of gas, don't they? Mercedes is a sweet car. Better burn premium in it. They are clearly marked premium only. Okay. So, when you get on a budget, when you get an income that you're living on, there are little odds and ends-y things that can really make a difference, okay, on the amount that you actually spend. Let's talk about things like medical insurance. Here at UC, there are a couple different ways that we can go on medical insurance. When you get your job, very likely you're going to have the option of several different types of medical insurance, and they cost different amounts of money. Okay? As a quick example, this is not intended to be a big medical insurance thing you could spend the rest of your life studying. Okay? But let's say you're looking at one of two policies. The first policy is what is called a low deductible. Okay? On this low deductible policy, anybody know what a deductible is? Yeah. Okay, yeah. It's what you have to pay. Okay? Have you ever noticed, even on your mom and dad's plan, when you go to the doctor, what's the doctor asking? What is your copay? Ever heard that word before? Copay. What's that? That's how much you have to pay, isn't it? And then the insurance pays the rest. The copay varies with the plan. Go to the hospital. There are copays, there are deductibles, there's all kinds of stuff. Okay. Let's say that this low deductible policy costs $250 a month. This is your premium. That's the amount that's going to be deducted from your paycheck every month for your health insurance. And it has a $1,000 deductible. What a deductible means in this case is you pay the first $1,000 out of pocket. After that, the insurance will pay 80% of the rest. Well, wait a minute. If they're paying 80%, what happens to the other 20%? That's on you. Okay. Second policy is a high deductible. Okay, we're keeping things kind of simple here. Okay, you see they do provide us two options, and it's similar to this. This one only costs $150 a month. And it has a $6,000 deductible. When I was younger, I would have gone with the high deductible because it was just me. And that means that I'm paying $150 a month, so I'm saving $100 a month over the other policy, aren't I? But I stand the risk of losing $5,000. How How could I lose $5,000? Well, with the low deductible policy, I have to pay the first $1,000, don't I? With the high deductible, I have to pay what? First $6,000. Does that make sense? It's gambling, is really what it is. You're betting. If I'm going with the high deductible, I'm betting that I'm not going to get hurt this year. I'm betting I'm not going to the ER. With the low deductible, you're betting what? That something's going to happen. My son plays hockey. Okay? And he plays at a fairly high level. They won he won 2 state championships last year. He played in his age group, and then they played him up at the high school level too. So at 14, he was playing the 16 and 18-year-old division. And they won both. Okay? Hockey is one of those low impact, nobody gets hurt games, right? No. Right. Okay? All it takes is one trip to the ER, and I'm out $5,000 real easy, aren't I? Yeah. Okay? I'm not about to bet this. I'm betting that something's going to happen, and I'm going to get my $1,000 out real quick. Now, either way, one of the things that you got to catch is that they pay 80% after the deductible. Which means that if there is a $10,000 bill, is $10,000 hard to run up in a hospital? You just saw that bill before. $10,000 you walk in, cough, and grab a Kleenex. Okay? If they pay 80%, if you've already met your deductible, that means you've already paid $1,000. They will pay $8,000, and how much do you still get billed for? $2,000. You need to be aware that when you're carrying medical insurance, it doesn't cover everything. Typically, it covers 80%. The other 20% always comes out of your pocket after you've met the deductible. Hey, homework is posted for 3B. I've got some up for 4A as well, I believe, if memory serves correctly. They're both due Friday. Okay. So take a look at those. Have those done by Friday. We'll do some more on 4A Friday, or on Wednesday. And then we're going to get into 4B. I'm not going to spend much more time on this 4A stuff. Folks, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you Friday, or Wednesday. Jeez.